Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to MTG Traders. My name is Taryn, and this is Budget Rakdos Aggro. So if you guys have been keeping up with the deck techs I've been putting out this week, these have been super budget decks, under 10 tickets and under $30 in paper. And this is Rakdos Aggro, a red-black aggressive deck, has a ton of great cards into it, and can win really quickly thanks to our low mana curve and fast plays. But of course, before we get into it, make sure to like the video if you like the video, and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and make sure you hit the bell right beside that to make sure you get notified when we post a video on the channel or when we go live on the stream right here on YouTube. This deck is so close to breaking our limit here. It's at 9.9 tickets right now in MTG Traders, and on paper I think it's around $28. But let's get right into it. At the 1 mana slot, which we're going to see a lot of that, we have 4 Bomat Courier, a 1/1 construct with haste. Whenever Bomat Courier attacks, exile the top card of your library face down. You may pay 1 red, discard your hand, sacrifice Bomat Courier, put all cards exiled by Bomat Courier into their owner's hand. So it's a great way to get our hand back in the mid to late game if the Courier isn't dealt with any kind of removal magic. Overall though, Bomat Courier is a great way to get in really quickly in turn 1, 2, and 3. Most of the time they're not going to have a removal spell until turn 3, but a Fatal Push might be coming down to kill the Courier. You never know. But I do think more often than not, the Courier, once it gets under 3 cards under its belt, it's time to sack it, thanks to our low mana curve of the rest of the creatures in our deck. Moving up now, we have 4 Night Market Lookout, a 1 mana 1/1 human rogue. Whenever Night Market Lookout becomes tapped, each opponent loses 1 life and we gain 1 life. So a great 1-point life swing for us, and just also a great attacker. So whenever it attacks, we still get the ability of them losing 1 life and us gaining 1 life, and if they get in for a point, they actually get another point of damage. So this is having them deal 2 damage to our opponent, as well as us gaining 1 life. So Night Market Lookout is fantastic for us, and a card that we need a 4 of in the deck. Moving on, we have a 4 Vicious Conquistador, very similar to Night Market Lookout, a 1 mana 1/2 Vampire Soldier. Whenever it attacks, each opponent loses 1 life. So we do not get the 1 life gain, but we do still have the opponent losing 1 life too. And of course, when it gets in, it does another point of damage just from its attacking alone. Vicious Conquistador with Night Market Lookout kind of together is a great way to have our opponent lose 4 life thanks to just 2 1 mana creatures, and I think that's insanely powerful for us. Moving up to the 2 mana slot, we have 3 Burning Fist Minotaur, a 2 mana 2/1 first strike. You can pay 2 and discard a card. Burning Fist Minotaur gets +2/+0 until end of turn. So this is a great way to pump our Burning Fist Minotaur to trade with larger creatures on the battlefield, preferably a Scarab God, maybe something else like that, but also a great way to kind of maintain presence on the board thanks to first strike as well. So Burning Fist Minotaur is a great card for us, and one that we will probably be pitching some cards to the graveyard more often than not. Next up in the 2-drop slot, we have 4 Earthshaker Kinra, a 2 mana 2/1 Jackal Warrior with haste, and when it enters the battlefield, target creature with power less than or equal to Earthshaker Kinra can't block this turn, and it has Eternalize for 6 mana, so it can come back as a 4/4 with haste, and of course the same ability does apply. So a 2 mana 2/1 on turn 2 that has haste is very good for us, and it usually does get around a blocker on turn 2, and if it comes in with the Eternalize later in the match, it usually does get around a blocker again, thanks to being a 4/4. Out of all the cards in the actual deck, Earthshaker Kinra is our most expensive one. I believe it's 8 tickets right now, quite pricey, and probably one of the flagship cards in the Roundup Red deck right now. Earthshaker Kinra is just a fantastic card for us, and a great reason to have it in the deck. And the last 4 creatures in the deck, we have 4 Scrapheap Scrounger, a 2 mana 3/2 construct. Scrapheap Scrounger can't block, and we can pay to exile another creature card from our graveyard, return Scrapheap Scrounger from the graveyard to the battlefield. So this is going to be one of the cards we're actually going to probably discard into the graveyard thanks to Burning Fist Minotaur, something like that. It's just a fantastic attacker for us. It gets in for 3, which is super good on turn 3, and of course it can't block, but usually we want these attacking out as quickly as we possibly can because this is an aggro deck and we really need that damage going in as quickly as possible. But that is it for creatures. We have 23 in total. Let's move on to spells here. We have 4 Lightning Strike, a 2 mana instant. Lightning Strike deals 3 damage to target creature or player. Just a fantastic way to either end a match or just kill a creature that's on the battlefield that's giving us a headache. Next up, we have 4 Claim to Fame, a 1 mana sorcery. Return target creature card with converted mana cost 2 or less from the graveyard to the battlefield. And then of course we can cast Fame, probably in the same turn as well. Sorcery with Aftermath, target creature gets +2/+0 and gains haste until end of turn. Claim to Fame is one of those cards that really does change a match in the mid to late game, especially if we have a Burning Fist Minotaur that's in the graveyard and it comes back and it starts swinging in for 4 first strike. It's ridiculous. It's very powerful, and this is the reason why everything in the deck is actually 2 mana and less. That does change in the sideboard slightly, but in the main board here, Claim to Fame is fantastic for us as far as getting in turn over turn. And the last two spells in the deck for us, we have 2 Unlicensed Disintegration, a 3-mana instant, destroy target creature if you control an artifact. Unlicensed deals 3 damage to that creature's controller, and because we have Bomat Courier, we have Scrap Heap Scrounger, and we have these cards right here, 3 Fleetwell Cruisers. It's going to be dealing 3 damage to our opponent more often than not. But also Fleetwell Cruiser is a 4-mana 5/3 vehicle with trample and haste, and when it enters the battlefield, it becomes an artifact creature until end of turn. So having a 5/3 trample haster coming in for 4 is actually quite good for us. Now, while we can't get it back with Claim to Fame because it is a vehicle and more than 2 mana, of course, it is a fantastic beater for us because it is coming in for 5 with trample and haste. And of course, the crew ability is actually not that bad since most of our creatures do have the ability to crew it. That's it for all the cards in the main board besides lands. Let's go over lands real quick. We have 4 Sunscorched Desert and then 10 Mountain and 10 Swamp. Very simple on the land base. Ramming Up Ruins would have been brought in here, and it was in the original build, but that would have put us over the 10 ticket limit. I think that was like an extra 3 tickets that was going on with the Ramming Up Ruins. So if you really want to bring those in, I recommend them. They're very, very good for us in the situation what we're trying to do with the deck. So if you want to bring them in, bring them in. But for me, we're trying to keep this under 10 tickets, and that's why they're not in here. So let's say we're up against a control strategy. Let's say we're up against a heavy removal strategy, or maybe even a token-based strategy. What can we do? Let's go to the sideboard. We have 3 Chandra's Defeat. This right here is to kill a Glorybringer, basically outright, as well as any kind of red Planeswalker, which is a Chandra Torch of Defiance. In Temur Energy decks and Temur Energy matchups, that's going to be one of the things you want to kill the most, as it can shut down your strategy quite quickly. Chandra's Defeat is a 1-mana instant, deals 5 damage to target red creature or red Planeswalker. If that permanent is a Chandra Planeswalker, you may discard a card if you do draw a card. So again, it deals 5 damage to a red creature or red Planeswalker, which can usually kill a Chandra, and as well kill basically anything that's red. So against Round Up Red right now, or against the Temur Energy build, Chandra's Defeat is a great card for us. Moving on, we have 4 Duress. Again, Duress is just a fantastic card for us and super needed in the meta right now. Duress is going to be going up against a deck like a Approach deck, any kind of control deck, any kind of heavy removal deck. Duress is fantastic for us. 1 black mana, sorcery, target opponent reveals his or her hand. You choose a non-creature, non-land card from it. That player discards that card. So simple, clean, to the point, and very effective. Next up, we have 2 Harsh Scrutiny, very similar to Duress. A 1 black mana sorcery, target opponent reveals his or her hand. You choose a creature card from it. That player discards that card and scry for 1. So if we're up against a Round Up Red strategy or any kind of aggro-based strategy, Harsh Scrutiny is going to come in to kind of help deal with that, just in case we can't deal with it ourselves. Next up, we have 2 Liliana's Defeat. This is a 1 black mana sorcery, destroy target black creature or black Planeswalker. If that permanent was a Liliana Planeswalker, her controller loses 3 life. Liliana's Defeat is a fantastic card for us. Helps us deal with Scarab God, helps us deal with Vraska. Just a great way to deal with a Planeswalker for just 1 mana. More often than not, we won't be killing a Liliana Planeswalker herself, but we will be dealing a lot of good beats against some black creatures, as well as Vraska Relic Seeker. Moving on, we have 2 Gonti Lord of Luxury, a 4-mana 2/3 Aetherborn Rogue with Death Touch. This is a great way to shut down an Approach deck for us, or perhaps a white-blue control deck where they have a lot of board wipe cards in their deck. So Gonti is a fantastic way to kind of grab one of those cards, use it against them, or just kind of save it and not let them use it at all. And the last 2 cards in the sideboard here, we have 2 Release the Gremlins, XX and 1 red with sorcery. Destroy target X artifacts, create X/2/2 red Glimmin creature tokens. So a Braid was actually in this list, but a Braid is actually quite expensive right now. I didn't really realize that, but it is. The Release the Gremlins, a rare, is going to be in the slot here instead of a uncommon. And that is the full 75, guys. On MTG, Traders again is coming to just under 10 tickets right here. 9.9 tickets is the last time I checked. But it is a fantastic deck for us, super fast, super aggressive. It has a lot of great ways to kind of continue the match with reanimation techniques like Claim to Fame, as well as Scrap Heap Scrounger, and of course Fleetwell Cruiser coming in, hitting in for 5, can just close out a match by itself. Sunscorched Desert and Lightning Strike are also fantastic ways to kind of ping some damage in the early to mid game as well, and of course Earthshaker, Khaenra, Nightmarker Lookout, and Vicious Conquistador are fantastic ways to do our mid game beats. Again, if we're up against a control strategy, Duress is going to be coming in, probably some Liliana's Defeat perhaps, and some Gonti if we're up against a blue-white approach strategy or a blue-white control strategy. We would be replacing Unlicensed Disintegration, of course, some Fleetwell Cruisers perhaps, and some Claim to Fames, perhaps some Lightning Strikes, depending on, what the matchup is calling for. And of course, if we're going up against a heavy removal strategy, Duress is coming in, Harsh Scrutiny might be coming in for some removal for some creatures, and we would be doing the same thing, removing some Fleetwell Cruisers, maybe some Unlicensed Disintegration to kind of combat that creature removal. But that is the full list, guys. Let me know what you think. Do you have any suggestions for it? I know I wanted to keep it right under 10 tickets, so it was kind of like, it's kind of like choosing your favorite kid right now. There are so many great cards in white and black, like Fatal Push or Braid, things like that, but it would have pushed it over the 10 ticket limit that I kind of set for myself for these decks. But of course, if you have any suggestions, leave them in the comments below. Like the video if you liked it, and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. My name is Taryn, this is MTG Traders. I will see you next time.